staff, Ashley Kreitz, Executive Director, Urban Development, Mr. Zach Pons, Director of Planning, and Mr. Jimbo Woodson, Staff Attorney. At this time, I'd like to, there are 9 members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, all of whom were appointed by the mayor for staggered terms, with the exception of the City Council representatives who is appointed by the City Council. I ask that the commission members introduce themselves and state their occupation, beginning with to my left.
Sorry. Ann Hornsby, attorney.
Eddie Pugh, retired.
Vince Dooley, UA Design Coordinator.
John Smith, Environmental Service Deputy Director.
And I'm Tim Harrison, General Contractor. There are sign-up petitions outside for public comment. If you did not sign up, you will be given an opportunity to speak during the public comment portion of the agenda. The commission will take up items in the order. The commission will receive a presentation from staff. The commission will not vote tonight regarding recommending or not recommending the proposed text amendments. Note that the Planning and Zoning Commission is recommending body for the zoning text and zoning map changes. The City Council is the final authority. After the staff presentation, the floor will be open for public comment. Individuals wishing to express support or opposition will be given 3 minutes to speak. Only the Planning and Zoning Commission can grant special time extension to each individual. Public comment will be received. The floor closed to public comment. The commission will open discussion amongst ourselves. Reserving the opportunity to vote to accept or reject any proposed changes for final consideration at the review meetings that will take place later this year. Video recording. These procedures are video recorded and broadcast live. All public comment should be made at the podium into the microphone. Please first state your name and your address for the record. Jurisdiction. Regarding zoning text amendments, section 11-52-76 of the Code of the Alabama States, the legislative body of such municipality shall provide for the manner in which such regulations and restrictions and boundaries of such districts shall be determined, established, and enforced from time to time, amended, supplemented, or changed, and may adopt such ordinances as may be necessary to carry into effect and make effective the provisions of this article. The Planning and Zoning Commission serves as a recommendation body to the legislative body. While the zoning text amendments will be considered in pieces, they will not be enforced until the full zoning text is adopted and the zoning map change is implemented. In layman's terms, if there is a vote at any point to recommend changes, they will not be enforced on any property until the City Council adopts the zoning text and zoning map changes formally through many public hearings. Conflict of interest. Do any members of the commission have any conflicts of interest or possible conflicts for any topics on the agenda for discussion this evening? If so, please state the same for the record. With no conflicts, we will begin. Ms. Kreitz?
Good evening, Commission. I hope everyone had a great holiday season and that you're back and ready to rock and roll. 2024 is our year, right? Everyone says that every year, but legitimately, 2024 is our year. We're going to adopt a zoning text amendment. We're going to adopt zoning map amendments. It's happening. Quickly, before we get into this, of course, I like to start these meetings by setting our expectations. Of course, Planning and Zoning Commission members, you've taken a look at draft code articles beforehand. We're going to refrain from arguing with public commenters. Just listen, ask questions only if you don't understand, need clarification, be respectful, and look to have an expedited proceeding. Our meetings are going to start at 5 and end promptly at 7 p.m. If we don't get finished before then. If we don't finish a topic, and this may happen as we get further into things, we'll roll it into the next scheduled meeting. We'll utilize a 3-minute timer available to all parties, and staff is going to manage the flow of the meeting for efficiency's sake. So in our zoning review process, of course, we sent the full text out, all 300 some odd pages of it. I will refrain from thunking it on the podium today. But the full text went out on November 3rd, and we continue to receive comments back. Of course, you as the Planning Commission have gotten it. We just got 58 pages of, well, it was 58 pages with notes on it back from the original City Association just yesterday. So we continue to receive comment. to answer questions. And I continue to implore anyone watching, anyone who is interested, to go to framework.tuscaloosa.com, take a look at the zoning text, and ask questions. Run your projects through them, because the more feedback we get, the more questions that we can answer, the better this zoning ordinance is going to be, especially now that it is all together and you can look between the pages for things. As we move forward with our zoning text, we will continue to review the full text, draft to staff, receiving and implementing feedback from stakeholders, planning commission members, the public, and we will add framework-specific discussion on zoning text items to your regularly scheduled planning commission meetings as they go through the summer of 2024, so that we don't add an additional meeting to your already busy lives. You've got one more meeting that has already been added to your month. I don't want to add 2 so that you're looking at 3. But it is very likely that we may end up using all 2 hours of a meeting as we go forward. I feel we have been very lucky that we have not needed to, but there may be some topics. You see sober living facilities, you see alcohol-based uses, these things that are hot-button issues that we continue to wrestle with, that we'll need to look at as a commission to provide a recommendation then to the city council. So I think what we want to do today, just very briefly, is prepare you for January 31st's meeting, because this is the first MAP meeting that we'll be looking at. We'll be sending tomorrow the proposed zoning map changes will be available online for the area north of the river. That includes the airport area, and then everything that is in Council District 6. So District 1 by the airport, District 6, I'm sorry, that's District 3, north of the river. It's the 06 area that I was thinking of, but everything around the lake. And folks will get a chance to zoom into their parcel and see what their parcel of land is proposed to be zoned. And so I think it's important to remember that the future land use and character map is helping us to create this proposed zoning map. But it's not a mandate for development or zoning. It was just that policy guide for us to use, for you to use, for the city council to use. And of course, multiple zoning districts could be appropriate to implement a character type. Our future land use and character map categories, you see you had mixed use areas, commercial, neighborhood and residential areas, employment and industrial, institutional, and conservation. And we've gone back to using those traditional zoning colors. And I geek out over using traditional zoning colors because I think it makes a better looking map. And I know that's very important when things look good, but when you because we've got a couple teasers for you, and I think you'll see the difference in the map. It's easier to understand when you know that commercial zoning is traditionally red, neighborhood zoning is traditionally yellow and orange and browns, industrial is purple, institutional is blue. Those things start to make more and more sense. Also remembering that we've got multiple, I know I mentioned it, but multiple zoning districts could be within one future land use category. So industrial, of course, on our map could be anything from ML, MG, MH today, and in the future could be IL, IG, or IH. And so we had to take a look at what the current use is, what the future land use character map said it should be, and make the best assessment for what that property should be zoned. So I think there's been a little bit, and I want to address this table that has been in the proposed zoning text. I think it's causing a little bit of consternation, so let's talk about it for a second. You can see what this was intended to do was help give a guide for folks as they're looking through to just say this could be, as you're looking for your individual property, this could be what your property is going to be zoned in the future. So your MX3 mixed use low, for example, we're getting rid of that completely, but we are inserting 4 new commercial categories. I think the easiest one to talk about, and we mentioned this when we discussed the residential districts, if you are R1 today, 9 out of 10 chances you are going to be R1 tomorrow. You are going to be R1 today, SFR1 in the future. R2 today, SFR2 in the future. Where things are going to get a little confusing potentially is you've got the Towns of North River is an R1 PUD. Well, remember in our new zoning ordinance, PUDs are a special district in and of themselves. So the Towns of North River won't be R1 zoned, it will be GPD. It'll be zoned as a planned development because it has special rules only for it, and those special rules will continue forward with that development. And so with that in mind, I think there was a little bit of confusion in the overlay section where it talks about historic down here, and it has a scary word that says delete. The historic districts are staying. I'll say it louder for the people in the back, but the historic districts are not going anywhere. Historic is not a zoning. Historic is an overlay that we just put on the map to help people understand that if they buy this piece of property, it does have special restrictions associated with it, but it's not a zoning category. Historic buffer, however, is. And so we've made a couple quick fixes just to help ease that confusion, because property that is historic today will continue to be historic tomorrow.
And you've obviously talked to the stakeholders about this, and they understand that, correct?
They understand that.
Okay,
Historic is not going anywhere, and I think that that overlay sentence there with the big shouty delete on it probably caused a little more heartburn than it should have.
We know you've talked to them because none of them are here tonight.
That, yes. So with all that in mind, let's look at our new colors. So we've got our residential districts, and you may look at that list and go, Christ, good heavens, do we have enough? And yes, we do. We have enough residential districts now because remember, we add in this compact neighborhood district instead of the LCOD overlay, the Estate Lot Conservation Overlay District. We created the single-family residential estate district. You got your SFR districts, your mixed residentials, mixed residential university, and then, of course, we have added in 2 new ones, Lake Residential District and Lake Multifamily. So we've added in enough residential districts to cover every neighborhood, basically in the city of Tuscaloosa, without major impact at all. Our institutional districts turn blue. Of course, institutional university will encompass the University of Alabama. Institutional public are things owned by the city of Tuscaloosa, and then institutional semi-public would be things like your schools, your libraries, etc. And public is also things by the county, state, etc. Your industrial districts, we have 3 purple colors. Planned development districts, you'll see general planned, things like Towns of North River, and then riverfront planned development districts, that will be things like the Bend property or where Church of the Highlands, North Bank are. Open space is a brand new district, and thank goodness we have it, so Lake Tuscaloosa does not have to be zoned R1. I'm just thrilled by that. And then our commercial districts within downtown, your riverfront, your lake commercial district, and of course we'll have our overlays with a historic buffer overlay in our historic district properties. We'll continue to carry that blue dot.
I guess I'm confused by that. The historic district designation is going away, but the nomenclature here showing it is going to be.
It's still going to be there.
Okay.
It's still historic.
Okay.
But there may be a commercial property in the historic district, right?
Yes, 100%.
And so that would be, the zoning would be commercial, but.
Yes, you could have downtown historic
Right.
edge with historic district overlay on it.
Right.
Yeah, and that just is to help indicate, hey friend, you're in the historic district, so you need to check out chapter 20 for all rules and regulations. So moving forward with the zoning map. Of course, I mentioned it a couple minutes ago, but just to reiterate, that staff is creating the draft of the updated zoning map. I know I mentioned in December, we had the luxury of that future land use character map, first draft being created through the open house and the steering committee process. Well, staff has the luxury now of creating this first draft using the framework future land use character map, the existing zoning map, our current land uses, and our own professional judgment and expertise. We're going to be kind to staff in this process, knowing that we are human. And there may be some properties. I found one today on the map, and I was like, I think that one needs to change. And so that's what this time is there for. And it is a call to action for people who, when it is time to look in their specific district, find your piece of property and make sure that it's correct. It's what you think it should be. So the specific areas of the city will be posted on the framework website, and we will send out emails calling for public comment, and we will start using those special called meetings again to look at these individual areas of Tuscaloosa. I think we have 7 total that we'll be looking at. And so as a little teaser of things, what you see, of course, on the left-hand side of your screen are those existing zoning districts. And you can see some of those places where, you've got something that was annexed into the city of Tuscaloosa but never rezoned in the industrial area. It's still R1 today. That should be changed to something more appropriate, and we've done so on the right-hand side of your screen using the correct colors. And taking care of all the city-owned property. There is a park that we discovered near the airport. And so in calling out some of those major things like fire stations and the airport example, we've also got in the North River Yacht Club area, all that winding dark green on this side of the screen, that is the golf course. And then of course you've got this winding green that is Lake Tuscaloosa. You can see the majority of the neighborhoods in this area are PUDs today, and so you've got Maison du Lac here that becomes general planned development, while the other neighborhoods, just the yacht club in general, are lake residential, that brand new zoning district that we created. Lake Commercial District, a brand new zoning district that we created. And so it starts to clean up these maps into this really just easy to understand situation. In the spillway area, of course, you see the lake again on the upper right-hand side of your screen, no longer zoned for a single-family home. Your schools, Rock Quarry Elementary and the Mary Ann Phelps Activity Center, are zoned correctly in terms of public uses. Your commercial area, you've got a multifamily area that stays multifamily compared side by side. And then another example along North Ridge Road, where you've got those 3 schools all in a row that are now correctly zoned, an entire swath of neighborhoods that were done as PUDs, and so they'll maintain that general planned development zoning. A fire station that is zoned R1 today that becomes public. So this is the kind of stuff that you get to look forward to as we send the link out to you tomorrow, and you get to zoom around on it some. Mr. Pons, would you want to, I guess we could pull it up and talk a little bit about how the public will be able to utilize this map starting tomorrow. So of course there's the waiver that says, hey, I get it. This is for draft purposes and I'm supposed to provide comment. And folks will just get to find their specific parcel. You can see the parcel address, what the parcel number is. They can search by address and then provide, or you can say, hey, do you want to speak at an upcoming meeting? Yes or no, but my comments are official record. You don't have to be there. Whether your comment is of support or concern. And if, for example, you thought that was the wrong zoning district on whatever that is, Oh, yeah, rock quarry. If you think that's the wrong zone on rock quarry, then you say, this is the wrong zone on rock quarry, and it should be this. Wow, Mr. Pons is just very fast. You'd put in the zip code and your relationship to the location and hit submit. And, you know, just like we did with the future land use character map, you have to put a zip code in. Just like we did with the future land use character map, we may call some folks, or we may email some folks, because we've asked, we're gonna add in an email address for people, just because sometimes confusion does happen, or we need more clarification, you know, to a point that gets raised. And so we want to be able to get that feedback in. So this is the map, this is the link to the map, and if the area is not up for discussion, as Mr. Pons is showing here, this is property on 25th Avenue Northeast and Jack Warner Parkway. It says like, hey, this area will be discussed on May 22nd. Because as we build this map out, it will continue to populate. So we're quite pleased with it and the way that it will function for us. We're excited. You're excited. I can see it in your faces. So remember, January 31st, zoning map will be looking at North Tuscaloosa and the lakes, the airport area. February 28th, West Tuscaloosa. March 27, downtown. April has a meeting in there that I forgot to put on for some reason. I'm very sorry about that. April has a meeting, May 22nd. And we continue through all the way to July, where hopefully we will be able to wrap everything up, provide a recommendation, and send it to the city council. So we're in exciting times, folks. 2024 is our year. I did leave room this evening for public comment if there is any. So unless y'all have any questions, I will step over.
You said that the towns was a PUD. Will there be PUDs in the future?
Yes, yeah. So PUDs in the future, let's say someone comes in with a vacant piece of property that they want to do as a planned development, they will rezone to planned development and provide all of the, they'll provide the lot sizes and the plans and all of that stuff. So it's a rezoning to a planned development instead.
I knew that there had been some developments in the past that were PUDs that have never been developed.
Yes.
And they continue to be a PUD. They'd have to come back to planning and zoning. The city
Yes.
council would change that.
Yeah, that is correct. Any PUDs that were previously, or property that was rezoned contingent upon development as a PUD, those would have to come back to you for any level.
So, Ash, I guess before we ask for public comment, did anybody sign up? You know, 'cause we didn't have to sign up. Wow, this is exciting. It's fixing to go out to the public first. I mean, I think it's a big win for us. It's been a long haul. Got a long way to go, but this is at least the first step. One of my fears in doing this is we get down to June and nobody's looked at it, and we've got 30 days to make these adjustments. And it's real easy to send out an email and say, hey, we sent you an email, or we sent out a link. You've got a list of, again, I use the term end users in these areas. Are y'all reaching out to these people, physically calling these people and saying, hey, you need to look at this website?
Especially when we get into these map meetings.
I mean,
yes.
I think that will help. That'll help lessen the confusion and give y'all a head start and not be all jammed up here.
We agree
in
completely.
30 days' time.
And we learned lessons in that future land use character map development process. And, you know, that first awful meeting that we had in March of 2020. And, you know, I say it tongue in cheek. I've never been more thankful for a pandemic.
Right.
But I am, because that taught us some lessons and allowed us to develop a better way of focusing in and saying, okay, we know we're looking at North Tuscaloosa in this first meeting. Where are all the people that I know that need to, you know, and the people that you know, and the
Right.
people that, you know, that everybody knows that need to take a look at this map to make sure they are fine with it. And I can think of all the names that I need to get in touch with, and we can look at the property owners and make sure that anybody whose property could be changing, that they take a look at it and that we call attention to it. And by narrowing it in and doing it area by area, we're better able to do that as opposed to just throwing every area of the city on the map at once and saying, come and get it free for all.
Well, I'll say this to you because I'm one of them. A lot of the property owners out there have gray hair and don't do emails and don't do text well, so
And
maybe a
that's
phone call
where
to them or something.
our
just reach
homeowner
out to them.
associations are going to be very critical in a lot of those areas.
Ashley, what has been their response when you reached out to them? Has it been, we got it, we're gonna make it happen? What's the general consensus of when you reached out to those individuals? Are they,
To the homeowner
Yeah.
associations or
Yeah,
to anybody?
anybody, users?
Everyone has, I think one of the, not to pat myself on the back, but this process that we've developed has been really successful. I mean, this room tonight, I think, is a reflection of this process that we've created because we are doing these individual reach out to groups. We are scheduling individual meetings with folks. You know, the swath of city staff that you have behind us has worked their tails off in having these individual meetings, and I think tonight's attendance is a reflection of that.
Well, we definitely appreciate that.
Yeah,
We definitely appreciate
I would agree
that.
completely with Mr. Harrison. It's just, I think it is going to be really critical. The framework process also taught us a lot about reaching out and to different stakeholder groups and making sure that people did do the homework somewhere. And so I think that the development of that network and you guys' hard work on really sitting down with every club, every homeowners association, every commercial group, real estate folks, whatever, really made a big difference. And we just need to make sure that they hang with us throughout this last process.
Just like 7 more months, y'all.
Right.
Do that
Just
as,
hang with me.
and do that, well, and do that as intensely as they did during framework.
Absolutely.
So let us, call on us to help however we can.
I guarantee you that I will.
And Ms. Christ, I would also like to say, to call on us, but in some communities, especially in districts, my district, District 2, 1, and 7, we don't always, in a lot of our neighborhoods, have established homeowners associations, so please do call out to the council people so that we can remind those key members of our community to be there. But I know that you all do practice the best practices in getting the community's involvement. I just want to make sure that when we get down to this last meeting, we have covered all our bases.
And districts
Church members,
1,
yes.
1, 2, and 7 are phenomenal in helping
Yes.
get the word out.
Very much.
So
Anything else?
that's all for me.
All right, well, we no one signed up tonight. Anybody in the audience will make public comment? Okay. All right, well, I'll close the floor at this time. Commission members, we've heard the presentation. Any comments amongst ourselves? I think we did a pretty good job of commenting. Anything anybody want to say? Okay. Well, staff, thank you. We appreciate it. Very hard, a lot of hard work put into the days to get us to where we are today, and obviously with nobody here, it shows that y'all doing a good job. So, yes. Thank you. All right. Well, I will adjourn this meeting tonight. Thank you.